and all of
Wide
that.
world of.
I think somebody is not on mute.
Oh, I think they're muted now.
All right, cool. And then we want to go over 2 very specific ways that you can get involved immediately with digital peace building. And then at the end, we would like to host a mini digital peace building meme workshop, really short and sweet, but should be really fun. So let's talk about what digital peace building actually is. Simply and basically, it's the use of technology in all of its forms to build peace. So let's break down 3 possible functions of using technology to build peace. Just want to note that I am sourcing this information from Build Up, the organization Build Up. They do digital peace building all over the world, and this comes from their Digital Peace Building 101 course. So the first way that technology can be used to build peace is through data management. Today with technology, we can have data accessed so quickly, collected so quickly, analyzed so quickly, just at the touch of our fingertips. So with that, being the case today, it creates for more effective peace building processes and efficient peace building processes. An example of where data management is being used to build peace in the world is with an organization called Conflict Alert and Prevention Center in Burundi. Essentially, they had a lot of conflict, and this NGO decided that they would survey different groups of people, demographics of their country, and just ask them what they feel they would need for long-term peace in the country. And all of that data was compiled and dispersed and displayed visually, and it led to lots of talks amongst different groups of people across division lines about what peace could look like and what it's going to take to get there, and just led to some really cool action and dialogue around peace. And then the next way that technology can be used for peace is through strategic communication. It works to engage people in conversations and stories about peace. With technology today, we have the power to elevate voices of peace over voices of violence. Especially in spaces online where voices of violence and division can be quite loud. And it also, like with technology, people's voices that wouldn't normally perhaps be heard in physical space or in real time can be heard and accessed through technology. So an example of a way that strategic communication is used for building peace is, this is a very specific application, but a platform called Una Hakika in Kenya. They had a problem with rumors or misinformation, which is also something that we see here in the US on our social platforms too. But essentially this platform worked. Anybody, if they found a piece of information online that seemed to be fishy or fabricated in some way, they could send it into this platform just by a simple text, and then they would get a response back about whether or not it was true or false information, and some feedback about what they could do, action steps they could take to help minimize the false information and misinformation that was found in their digital spaces in Kenya. Tim is going to talk more about why misinformation is really bad for peace, essentially, really bad for unity. In the next slides, we'll get to that. And then a last way that technology can be used to build peace is through dialogue and networking. So this is probably a way that we all are maybe more familiar with how this application of technology can be used, but essentially with technology today, as we all know, there are new spaces to talk, new spaces to connect with each other, even across the world, and spaces also to organize and mobilize action. And so I'm sure you have experience with this maybe, but just and there's also the opposite of this happening online, but there is potential to create empathy for people that we may never even be in physical space with online. And like I said, just also opportunities for mobilization of action, mobilization of nonviolent movements can happen in these spaces where we can connect and dialogue and network, where maybe we wouldn't have the opportunity to in real time. An example of this, there's many examples of this, probably not as large scale too happening, but an example of this is in the Donbas region in Ukraine. They had armed conflicts start in 2014. And through the use of online spaces for dialoguing, they were able to get people together to dialogue just online from across division lines. And that eventually led to offline spaces of dialogue, which probably wouldn't have been possible without the barrier of like an online space being able to ease them into those dialogues for peace.
Okay.
Oops. Okay.
Okay, so why is digital peace building relevant to us? I'm going to talk about this a little bit with everybody. The really simple answer to this is essentially that we can't, the ways that digital platforms are used positively that Bailee was just talking about, we can't really assume that that's going to be the default with social media platforms. And I just have a few different reasons and sort of evidences of why that is. And so I'm going to run through these really quickly just to describe a little bit of what we're encountering when we encounter social media platforms in regards to peace building. And so the first one I have there is social media platforms are designed to infiltrate and influence your psychological processes. Oh, and something I want to say before I get into all this is that when we are done sharing this presentation, I'm going to be putting a document into the chat that everyone can look at where I've got saved like 20 or so links to different sources ranging from just media outlets to academic sources to research and think tank organizations that will give some more evidence and background to what I'm talking about here. But just to give you a little bit of context there. But so social media platforms are designed to infiltrate our psychology. So from the colors, the formats, the algorithms, and the way that our experience with social media affects our psychology. It's designed to make us addicted, and it's also designed to make us feel certain emotions and to experience the platform in a certain way. And that in and of itself is one of the reasons why social media can become such a place for heightened dialogue, whether in the negative or the positive. And one of the examples that's in one of the articles I'm going to be sharing talks about a very oversimplified psychological experiment with pigeons, and that pigeons, there was an experiment done where pigeons were asked to, or they were tasked with hitting a button to make food come out. And one of the buttons just automatically always gave food. And one of the buttons, it was periodic. If the button was hit, sometimes it would give food and sometimes it wouldn't. And the pigeons that were hitting the button that was random, they became obsessed with pressing the button and pressing as much as they possibly could. And that's kind of like an oversimplified way of thinking about how dopamine and different ways of our psychological processes are affected by social media, and the likes that we get, the comments that we get, and the way that the engagement is presented to us can be really influential on the way that we think.
The social dilemmas.
The social dilemma,
If you've
yeah.
watched The Social Dilemma, then you probably understand.
Yeah, so that's
really well.
Yeah, that's like a documentary movie thing that came out on Netflix recently that talks a lot about what this particular issue.
It's repeatable too.
Yes. The next one I want to talk about is social media platforms are designed to favor and exacerbate polarization and division. And so the algorithms are one way that social media platforms are literally designed to favor not only controversy, but things that are divisive and polarizing. So looking at sources as well as any type of media, memes, things like that, that are polarizing are going to be more popular. And so you're more likely to see them on your social media feeds. And this is across platforms.
Maybe you should explain.
Yeah, and so to talk a little bit about polarization, I guess essentially what we mean there is that looking at the political spectrum or the political landscape, seeing that both sides are getting more extreme in their views of what is right and what should be, and also in their views of the other. And so seeing that separation happen, and that social media, the way that the algorithms are designed, and the algorithms being, this is what decides what comes up on your feed. They're designed in a way that you're going to see things that are controversial. And the second is things that are going to affirm your own worldview. And so that's where I get into these next two. If you look at the all caps text in mine, I have filter bubbles and echo chambers. So these are both things that are, sort of evidence to say that we're seeing things that we want to see. And so we may unfriend people that share things that we don't agree with. We may only follow certain hashtags and certain political groups or whatever it might be. So the idea that we're in an echo chamber, we're talking with people that are like-minded and that's it, and sort of constructing our social media experience around that. And the last one is the lack of human connection. And so this would be talking about how social media platforms favor polarization and division because humans are less likely to find common ground if there's no human connection that's happening. And so, if you look at the comment section underneath a controversial Facebook post, I think we can all relate to seeing that people probably wouldn't talk to each other that way if they were in person. And so that's another way that social media, just by its design, doesn't really favor constructive conversation, but favors polarization and division. And one of the big evidences of this that a lot of researchers and a lot of the sources that I've gathered talk about just the 2016 election process in general in the United States. And so this was Clinton and Trump, and looking at the memification, how memes became paramount in this election process, especially on Facebook, and also looking at how polarization was really exacerbated in the sort of the two corners on how they oriented themselves on social media. And the last one I have here actually relates a lot to this one. So social media platforms are used as tools for gathering violent extremists and for spreading disinformation and propaganda campaigns. And so one thing that I think that we can all probably relate to some extent, all of us that use social media or are involved in any sort of political discourse, is talking about sources and information and fake sources of information, misinformation, things like that. And so these types of things, information that's not accurate or not well sourced, is just increased in prevalence exponentially with the increased use of social media in the world. And so, and this is something that's as a result of polarization, but it's also something that is intentional. And so as you see in the all caps text I've got there, there's what they call troll armies. And so this is something I'll talk about a little bit when I talk about Myanmar. But these are military or special forces groups in certain foreign governments or other military groups that are actually training people on how to create headlines, create memes, and do things like that, and putting them onto social media as a strategy for mobilization, a strategy for galvanizing or radicalizing certain populations. Another less intentional, but still big part of this would be what's called the clickbait industry. And this is some research that I've read and sort of looked at that's been done that looks at groups of essentially micro economies that are all built around the creation of fake headlines and fake memes and false information in other parts of the world, like particularly in Southeastern Europe and Russia, where there's a lot of industry around this, the creation of different headlines that are then put into the information cycles in Western Europe or in the United States, where the clicks, just clicking on the headlines produces revenue for these people. And so that's another big piece of this. And then also with that, election interference and closed groups in Messenger, that the national government and NGOs and different think tanks have all identified that there's terrorist groups domestically in the United States as well as abroad that are gaining their membership and also strategizing and organizing through Facebook Messenger or on Facebook and closed groups and things like that. And so the platform itself is sort of lending itself and being used and weaponized to further sort of this really extreme and very direct forms of violence and organizing. And one of the really intense sort of examples of that is the country Myanmar, which was under a military dictatorship until 2014. After 2014, the entire country was sort of all at once. They started to have internet connectivity and they sort of had what's called an internet revolution, which started with just your basic things and quickly turned into Facebook sort of being the primary mitigator for almost everybody in the country and how they use the internet and were able to receive information. And Facebook eventually was used to organize full-on terrorist attacks, genocides, and was also used intentionally by the Myanmar government and the Myanmar military to sort of mobilize, galvanize, and radicalize different nationalist movements to do violent things. And so it's definitely like a really, really serious concern and like a new and evolving and emergent issue right now in terms of how violence is happening in the world. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why this is so relevant, why this is so important. Digital peace building is so important because this is a lot of really the default of what happens with social media, just as it's allowed to sort of exist without any sort of efforts to the contrary.
Yeah, and I don't know, just with like the social dilemma coming out, and there's been other movements. I don't know if anybody's aware of the movement that's been going around on social media called Stop Hate for Profit. A lot of celebrities, like who's on there?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. and like some other like Marvel actors were involved in and helped amplify. But essentially, a lot of people are really upset right now because people like Mark Zuckerberg and other creators of these social platforms are not holding people accountable on their platforms that are, you know, starting violence, creating violence, and mobilizing violence, both in the digital space and offline. So it's really relevant, and it's really important, and it's actually a really cool opportunity for us who, you know, people who are studying peace building to get involved in. So we're going to talk about 2 ways that you can be involved, 2 organizations perhaps that you can become aware of. There's a lot of digital peace building organizations. We'll do a good job at linking those in the doc that we send out so you can get in contact with them or become aware of their mission. But the one that I would like to talk about is the Commons, which is a project out of the organization called Build Up. And they have several projects that they're working on. The Commons is just one. I got involved with the Commons because another fellow alumni, Julie Hawk, works with this organization. And I got involved like a year and a half ago, probably, in their second iteration of the Commons. And essentially the whole mission of the Commons is to just mitigate conflict around political polarization in the United States. So it's been really prevalent in the last 4 years, especially. And another piece of their premise, or another piece of their message, is that polarization is happening to us. So it kind of goes along with what Tim said about how these social platforms, they're designed to polarize us, they're designed to make us think certain ways and to act certain ways. So really the Commons, what we were trying to do there was make people aware of how this was happening to us, so we could be better informed and better equipped to take action against it. And so when I was working with the Commons in their second iteration, I just want to talk a little bit about how the process went. It was really interesting. Through an algorithm and through tech, we were able to gather sort of like a database of conversations happening on both, on Twitter and both Facebook, I guess. On Twitter is where I worked mostly, using specific hashtags that were polarizing. So for example, like hashtag blue wave or hashtag MAGA or whatever, these hashtags were having polarizing conversations in them. And we would go in as human facilitators and sort of like intervene in these conversations and go in and try to have constructive conversation with these people that were, arguing back and forth, or, spreading hate speech or misinformation or hateful messages on their social platforms. And then we would hopefully eventually lead them into the movement of the commons, so they could become more aware of what they were doing and how it was affecting other people and how it was ultimately affecting our civic fabric, and just take action to peace instead of polarization. This time around, the commons iteration looks a little bit differently, and we are trying to create networks of people that are advocates for constructive conversation and peace building practices on social media. So I'm sure that we've all seen arguments on our Facebook platforms or Facebook wars or whatever. Maybe we've even been involved in them ourselves. But the Commons Facebook group called Political Depolarization at the Commons is a really good space for support, for tips, for information. So then we can become better actors in our social platforms for peace. And we can be better equipped to take on the polarization and the misinformation and hate speech that is going around right now, especially if you're, from America or in the American context as we near the 2020 elections. So if you get the chance, you should join that Facebook group for support and tips and help around depolarization. It's really awesome. The people that work at the Commons are really great and always willing to help. So go ahead and check that out. It's one way to get involved.
Yes, definitely.
And also I'll link more resources about the Commons. They've written some fabulous articles. Like I said, they have a free digital Peacebuilding 101 course that you can take. It's pretty succinct and has really good information. And I'll link that as well in the document that we send out.
Okay, well, let's
This is the
watch
fun
the
part.
YouTube video. Okay, so hopefully everybody's doing okay. I can't see anybody, but hopefully we're doing well.
It's a lot of information.
This has been kind of a lot of information for sure, and it's definitely a big issue. There's like a lot to sort of talk about, but I'm going to, so right now, surrounding the United States election, me and Bailee both have been asked to assist and sort of consult on a project that's being started that's out of the TOTA Peace Institute, sort of in collaboration with Search for Common Ground, which is another peace building organization, to do this digital peace factory contest. And I won't describe it too much, but it's running 1 month before and 1 month after the election. And it is
Peace Factory contest to win cash.
Whoa, okay. It is something that we're working on. It's peace building oriented. And is the sound coming through here, Chad? Is it working? Okay. No, get that ad thing out of there. Okay.
All right. What?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Prizes. Make memes, GIFs, or short videos to inspire Americans to respect the basic human dignity of all people when we talk about politics on social media. This nonpartisan contest will take place the month before and after Election Day in the U.S. The goal of the contest is to generate fun, inspiring content to help Americans listen to each other, to find common ground, to ask questions of others, and to encourage mindful, calm conversations in these anxious times. The contest has 3 easy steps. Think of something you want to say to other Americans about how they can build peace in conversations on social media. Next, you can create a meme, a GIF, or a short video to communicate your message. You can find free tools online to make images like these that can convey peace-building messages. Submit your creation to digitalpeacefactoryus@gmail.com. Then like and share your digital content at the Digital Peace Factory social media sites. Remind your fellow Americans that from California to New York and thousands of little towns in between, there are ribbons of highway and bridges that connect us. While Americans also connect online with friends and family, social media has become a superhighway for disinformation, hateful comments, bullying, and conspiracies. Our social media feeds also contain false and inflammatory information created by foreign governments trying to divide us, by people trying to make money off of posting false stories, known as clickbait, and by political advertisers. Without realizing it, others might then spread disinformation and harm. Some might react by leaving angry comments online. Some are like silent bystanders on social media, which ends up letting disinformation and hate spread. We can put pressure on government and technology companies to flag and stop disinformation. And we can all be more engaged digital citizens using effective communication skills to spread positive messages about human dignity. And even if you can't create your own content, you can always try digital upstanding. When you see bullying, hateful, or untrue comments, try using somebody else's Digital Peace Factory meme, GIF, or video, and then just drop it into the conversation. This is a nonpartisan contest, so no references to figures or parties, please. No offensive language or intentions, and of course, no false or misleading information. We've got cash prizes for the best digital content. Prominent peace-building organizations and the media will recognize the top 5 winners. Judging will be based on the quality of the content, how meaningful and creatively it reflects peace-building skills, the virality, how many times the content is liked or shared, and third, public voting for the final round. Be a digital citizen. Build peace in your digital neighborhood.
Okay. How do I? Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. So we're going to be, all of us, we're going to do some participation, some active participation in the digital peace building process. I think that we can all join in on this. And so does everybody have like a good idea of what a meme is? Let's just start off with that. Are we good? I'm trying to like scroll through like those of you who are with us here on Zoom. Okay, so that is good. So we all sort of have hopefully some idea of what a meme is, right? And so essentially what a meme is it's an image that has text connected to it that sort of is usually humorous and sort of succinctly and concisely gets across some type of point that people who are looking at it are gonna like resonate with. That's like the most broad way of thinking about a meme. And so let's create some memes. And so what we're gonna do here is essentially have all of you here that are with me on Zoom and anybody else who's watching this, whether it's through Facebook Live or something, to join in on this contest. And like it said in the video, there are cash prizes, so you have great incentive to send in as many memes as you can. And so I found it can be pretty easy to go to the link that I've put in there, which is imageflip.com/meme generator. And so for those of you that have like an extra device, hopefully everybody does, like on your phone, this website's pretty easy to do on your phone. Think of a meme idea that relates to peace building or digital peace building. Hopefully the video was sort of helpful with that, but really whatever resonates with you, your creative mind, and also what you know about peace building and maybe what you've seen in digital spaces that you think is an example of what could be more constructive or how to be more constructive in the digital conversations that you're around and create your meme. You can screenshot or download it and then email it to the digitalpeacefactoryus@gmail.com. And so does anybody have any questions for me about that process right now?
Is it just one entry?
You can enter as
Yeah.
many as you want.
You can enter as many as you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. It'd be cool.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sure.
So it said that it's nonpartisan, so it can't do with any like political figures and stuff. But some memes are based off of like a still
Oh,
of like the Bernie Sanders meme, for example.
yeah.
Are those kind of things not acceptable because they are political figures, or like,
I
do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I know exactly the meme you're talking about, right? I'm once again asking you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, no, I would say like something like that, like, I think that the meme itself, it's like, is the material or like the sentiment of the meme referring to a certain political
Oh, okay.
party or a certain political ideology, I think would be the concern there. There is, just so everyone knows, you send it to this email, and I want to invite everybody to find Digital Peace Factory on your social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. We're still in the beginning stages, so you guys are getting the cream of the crop in terms of getting shared and getting memes that are being put out there. And the reason I say that is because you email it to me today, and I'm monitoring the email right now. And with the leadership of the group, we're gonna go through an approval process for all the memes and then start sharing them, and they'll be put out there, and then you can reshare them once you're following us on social media, in hopes that your meme gets viral. Does anybody else have any other questions for me about memes, or for us about memes, or what you can do right now in terms of making a meme?
Does everybody have like a separate device that they can do that on? Like a phone? Okay.
Would you,
And-
go ahead.
Oh, I was
Go
just
ahead.
gonna say, I created something yesterday for this contest that maybe I'll share with you all.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe, it's
Well, I
kind
was
of
gonna-
goofy.
I was gonna say, maybe I can just make a meme right here on the spot as well, like while
Yeah.
everyone else is going.
If
Perfect.
anybody wants to share their meme too, that'd be awesome. You can just like hold it up to the screen, your
Yes,
phone
that
or
would be-
whatever.
Look, they even have the Bernie Sanders one that
Oh,
Bella was
yeah.
talking about.
Oh, poor Bernie.
Let's see what goes in here. So I'm once again asking you to conversate constructively.
I feel like that would be
There you go.
appropriate. Yeah.
See, it's as simple as that, really, right? So it's something that's sort of funny, something that has the that cultural sentiment to it, but that is sort of inviting or encouraging something that has to do with peace building.
And it doesn't have to be related to like the United States election or anything like that. It can be general peace building too.
So yeah, this site is good. It has like a lot of different meme formats that a lot of us probably are pretty familiar with. If we're on social media,
I like
you like this one?
yeah.
Can
What is
you put 2 pictures on there?
I mean, you could yourself on this particular website.
Oh, add image? Or is that your own
that's to
image?
add your own image. So you can add your own images. And then, I mean, you could always piece together a meme yourself.
Oh, there's the Yoda.
Here's the Yoda that was used earlier. Oh, look, so it still has the same text from earlier that I had put in. So you can put like the wisdom from Yoda. Here, we could do this is a fun one.
The Kermit.
What's, let me get my creative juices flowing here. Right, like this. So the Kermit meme is like when you're talking to yourself and there's like sort of the devil on your shoulder, the dark side of yourself. So I'm gonna see them as a person. They're an ignorant person, right? So that's to demonstrate how social media conversations often go. Look, they have thousands of meme formats.
You didn't really explain where this is coming from.
Bailee, I think you should share the one that you made.
Okay, it's a TikTok. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can share it. It's not a meme. It's a TikTok, which you can also create a TikTok, or
For the competition, you can do TikTok ones.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can do. So there's like so many different types of content you can create.
Are you dancing in the TikTok, Bailee?
No, I'm not dancing. I don't have dance skills. Okay, let me see. I don't think I can access TikTok on here.
While you're pulling that up, I think I made one.
Let's
Oh,
see.
I don't know.
See it, Bella.
I'm trying to, should I just share my screen on my phone?
Yeah.
Or, oh, I guess I could just flip the camera too. Hold up, that works. Okay. There we are. This is mine. I don't know if you can
read it?
see it. Can you read it?
Could you read it out loud for everybody?
I put the internet and then talking to friends on social media about politics. And then the thing that's holding you back is wanting to attack people who disagree. And then me, and then constructive conversations.
That's perfect.
No, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's like
Good
that's
job.
ideal.
That's so relatable.
Yep.
Great job, Bailee.
Well, you need to email that to us. So do I need to pull the email back up?
No, I got it.
Okay. Send it on over and yeah, be part of that. So yeah, I think you can find TikTok on here.
Oh, wait, actually, I think that I sent it into here.
You got it?
Also, while we're waiting, if anybody just has general questions about anything that Tim or Bailee have talked about today, or careers in digital peace building or whatever, feel free to drop any questions in the chat on either Facebook or here, and we'll have them answer those as well.
Yes. Sorry, we wanted to.
I
leave
actually
some
just
time.
had a question for Tim and Bailee. You mentioned The Social Dilemma, which I feel like a lot of people have seen on Netflix. Did you guys have any thoughts on that you wanted to share, like while you are pulling stuff up?
Do you want to speak to that? I think for me, I'll speak really briefly. I had just taken a course in grad school actually that was about digital peace building and was really in depth. And the professor was actually the person who's doing the Digital Peace Factory, and also she was a consultant in the making of The Social Dilemma. And so for me, it was like it didn't really feel like anything new. I had already been like really freaked out by social media, but I think that, and one thing she said that I agree with as well is it felt like the movie part of it, like the live action with the actors and things, was a little bit over the top, like theatrical. It felt like, but the like the documentary sort of portions felt like really relevant, and it obviously it's ongoing and like an emergent area of research. But it definitely felt like very, very relevant, and like it's adding to the discourse that people should be concerned about. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I wouldn't add anything. I feel like a lot of the information I was aware of, but to see it all like in one place being like relayed from all of these like professionals and even people that used to work for the social platforms was really, really like, I don't know, eye-opening and also terrifying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that like the digital wing of peace building is a growing area, because the digital wing of like violent organizing and just violence and hate speech in general is also like escalating at like really alarming rates, and in the US, but also like all over the world, where there's countries that are, you know, in the middle of internet or connectivity revolutions, where there's a lot of people that could be described as like novice internet users, whereas the platforms and other people that know how to manipulate the information sort of have a leg up in terms of being able to manipulate people. So it's definitely like, in terms of thinking about like macro scale conflict, it's definitely something that is really, really relevant right
Is that helpful?
now.
Okay. All right. That was great. I just wanted to see like what you guys thought about it because I thought it was a good resource, but I just wanted to know your thoughts.
Yeah. And I had like the same questions for this woman, Lisa Shirk, that we work with. We didn't know at the time when I asked her, but she was a consultant for the project. And I wanted to know her thoughts too. Like, was it reputable? Was it sensationalized? And like, she was like, no, all of it is completely spot on. So.
One thing I want to say as well, though, that is in the source document that I'm going to be adding into the chat, is there's an organization called Peace Tech Lab, and they have these lexicons that actually analyze social media and the usage of certain buzzwords, the usage of certain terminology, and they've done like full-on lexicon, like really in-depth research in like, I want to say like 15 to 20 different countries where violent extremism or civil war has been connected to activity on social media. So there's a lot of like really robust research out there in how this is relevant. But should we watch your TikTok, Bailee?
Yeah, we can watch it. I'm exposing myself with my TikToks. So there you go.
Who
That's
knew,
it.
Bailee?
Yay!
Yay!
I love it. Good job, Bailee.
That was great.
I posted mine on chat if you want to share it.
What? Awesome. Okay. Hold on, let me share my screen again. Whoops.
Oh,
Yay.
beautiful. Yes.
I love it. So those Star Wars memes coming in clutch.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Are you gonna submit it?
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, please, everybody, as you're making these memes, submit them via email to digitalpeacefactoryus@gmail.com. And so maybe we can go back to that really quick so they can see that
Yeah.
email.
Did anybody else want to share one that they may have created?
Yeah, if you put the URL right in the chat, they can post it for everybody to see.
Okay, we can do that.
That'd be fun.
Any other questions? I know we have like 5 minutes left, right?
Right.
Any other questions or things people are curious about? I know that a big part of this was supposed to be to like introduce you to organizations or careers that you may be able to take in digital peace building. I think like, at least for me, the work that I've done in digital peace building has come through networking. So if you, I feel it's just important to become aware of these organizations and start communicating with them. And you never know what kind of project you'll find yourself working on. Did somebody share something into the chat?
I think so.
Okay. How do I get there?
I know it's not pulling up for some reason.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. Oh,
Oh, yes.
Digital Peace Factory.
Oh, you're sending that just to Amanda.
Mm, mm, mm.
There you go.
Okay.
Let me put the link to that Google document as well while we're putting things in the chat. Oh, that's not what I want to do. So like I said, I'm going to be putting a document in the chat for everybody who's here on Zoom. And that just has a lot of sources from different organizations, think tanks, universities, as well as.
It says we need access when we click on it.
You need access to even see it?
Yeah.
Let me change the link then.
Change the permission.
I thought I had changed it to view for people who get the link, but okay, anyone with link is a
Yeah,
viewer.
That's good. That's good. You'll copy it.
Oh, there we go. Thanks, Chad. Okay, so here's the
Actual link.
better link. So yeah, like I said, it has a lot of sources sort of about everything we've talked about today.
Tim and Bailee, can I ask you, for a lot of our students, they're getting started, they have to work on projects, for the McKay Center in their classes. And obviously a lot of the stuff that we've done in the past has been face-to-face work. And obviously with COVID-19, that's become challenging. So are there things that they can get involved in that could work as projects that using social media or digital peace building that they could get involved with?
Yeah, so one thing, just going back to the Commons Project, if you join that group, it's in the document too, the link to the group. It's a private group, so you're gonna have to ask to join it. But the way that the Commons is structured right now is people come into that group intending to become what we're calling advocates. And essentially the advocate, one, practices peace building, does peace building practices on their own social media platforms, but then two, also networks with other people to help them, become aware of peace building practices that they can do in their social platform. So it's structured, like the advocate's role is structured. And so if you have a project that you want to do, and becoming an advocate as part of the Commons Project sounds like something you'd be interested in, I would definitely look into that. It's structured, but it's also autonomous. You can kind of do what you want with it and do it how you want to. But I would definitely recommend looking into that. And if you have more questions about the advocate role with the Commons Project, you can email me here and I can help walk you through it a little bit more if you're interested, or just talk with you about ideas that you may have. Would you add anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think that in terms of like social media or digital opportunities for peace building, I think that so much of what's out there in terms of like organizations, there is like a lot of organizations that have like a wing or like some type of presence on in digital peace building, but nothing like really as like intentionally directed as like the Commons. And there's a few other ones. But I would say like, I guess, just putting together, how do I say this? Looking at one thing that I've done is look at policy briefs, I've linked a few of those in that document as well. And that's thinking about more on the advocate side and thinking about like, not just thinking about how can I change on social media, but looking at different thinkers and other researchers that are out there saying like, these are the ways that I'm advocating that Facebook should be regulated by governments, or Facebook should change its algorithms, or Facebook should change its regulations. And so that's also another area of research that is sort of ramping up right now, is people looking into how can we become policy advocates or put pressure on these big tech companies
and on the government
to change things. Because right now, like we need both, right? We need to change the way that we're conversating and try to use the conversations on social media to create peace, but also the structure of the platforms is not conducive for constructive or peaceful conversations. And so working to change that structurally is also another way that people can sort of be involved.
Hope that was.
Do you have a comment?
Melissa has a.
You're on mute, sorry.
I just have a comment. So like I've been like hearing about this kind of thing where there's been a lot of pressure on Facebook to I don't know, I guess change things like you talked about. And I'm for like this whole like let's promote peace kind of thing. But also with this new way of communicating, I just think like there's also like, I don't know, just this whole fact checking thing. Like I looked at a video that was fact checked and I'm like, okay, well, I want to see why that was fact checked, because like I don't like following social media that's polarizing, that's kind of like, okay, they're not seeing the other side, so that's not really like I want to see the other side. But I looked at this video that was fact checked and it was an opinion, and that really bothered me because they're fact checking an opinion, and in this country where we should be having like the ability to speak freely and to share our ideas or concerns, to see that fact checked was really concerning because that person's view is seen as not, I don't know, it's just like, oh, just be quiet. Like, we don't want to hear that. And I don't know, just, it's really like, it can be really hard to figure out how to use this new avenue of communicating while still trying to create unity in this country. But I don't know, just the way that things have been, I think it's really important to like maintain everyone's ability to still think and speak freely. But I don't know, just that's just something that was on my mind as we were talking about Facebook and other organizations being pressured to make changes. So, because I think everyone should have a voice, and we need to promote like, hey, look into this if this is true. But yeah, some people have opinions that are different. So I don't know if that made sense, but.
Yeah, definitely. I think that you're touching on something that's like in that same area of research that's sort of like that people are really trying to figure out, is the relationship between like social media and how it skews and presents misinformation, and balancing that out with the freedom of speech. And there's a lot of different like theoretical directions that people go with that. Some people like to talk about how these tech companies are not government organizations. They're private organizations. And so freedom of speech is really they have the freedom of speech as the organization that runs the platform. And then that also, if we're thinking as peace builders, doesn't necessarily contribute to peace, because people feeling like they're being censored has also turned into sort of a galvanizing and actually kind of a radicalizing sentiment for especially violent extremist groups in the United States that feel like they're being censored, and it sort of has led to an increase in, I guess, excitement over their particular issues. And so definitely you're touching on like a really important balance, and it's something that needs to be confronted in different ways. And I think structurally, we can look at how digital platforms, just how they uptick certain information or certain material more than other information, is a structural thing that doesn't necessarily censor any particular views, but just doesn't give into the more polarizing part of the human brain in the first place, if that makes sense as well. So there's definitely a lot to be said there, and that's why it's one of the great sort of areas, or a good area to study as a peace builder.
I've heard it likened then to, we have warnings on the back of packs of cigarettes now. Cigarettes are legal, but there's warnings that say this can cause cancer if you smoke it. You can smoke it. You can, at the age of 18, you can go buy a pack of cigarettes. But how do we warn people that maybe the things that they're consuming, like a cigarette, can cause cancer, and while still giving space for people that want to consume it to consume it? And I think that balancing act is a very challenging one, and it invokes multiple different types of freedoms that we cherish, and it's part of going forward, trying to figure out how to balance all of that. But it's definitely a great work that Bailee and Tim are are working on, and appreciate you introducing us to that. And for all, I'll make sure that on all of our forums, we're posting the link as well to your document, and so that they can check it out that way. And really appreciate our alumni doing great peace building work for everyone else. And I will be back. I will be leading our session next week. We had a little bit of shift in schedule. Just some of our presenters needed to move things around a little bit. I will be back next week, and we'll be talking about grad school and what sort of grad school options are available for our students in various areas. And as you're thinking about what peace building might be next from an educational point of view, that's where we'll be next week on our forum. So thanks again to Bailee and Tim and everybody that came today. And oh wait, there's another meme that came in at the last second. Should we show it? Should we kick it off? It's from Julie and TK. So it's probably has something to do with Magic the Gathering, but let's see. Oh, the classic Spider-Man meme.
That's good.
Well done.
Yay. Submit it.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aloha.